So Kevin, like, led us through like the critical importance of self-awareness and that part of our forming of our identity. And then we talked here about like, okay, so now we got like our identity clear. Now we're talking about leading other people personally and professionally, and how each one of those people represent a different identity, which in turn creates diversity. But this is why, friends, identity work isn't soft work.
Yeah.
It's leadership work.
Yeah.
It's leadership work. It's critical. It's critical. John Maxwell, our friend, he often says this. He's like, the hardest person to lead is yourself.
Oh, that's right.
And so that's why this is leadership work. So Nick's going to take over and talk about how it shows up in a real-time relational dynamic.
Yeah, so self-awareness, I love it. Could talk about it all day. I want to take us from self-awareness and others' awareness and talk about like how that kind of shows up when you're in a space together. Like Gina talked about different people, you bring in your different lived experiences, you're different everything, right? You're different, whether it's power dynamics or, cultural differences or how I prefer to handle conflict could be different than the next person. Like there's all this stuff to pay attention to. And I think that something that can be helpful for leaders to pay attention to is reading the room and getting really good at this. We talk about reading the room a lot, and it's like, oh yeah, pay attention to what's going on around you. And I'm going to challenge us and say, sure, pay attention to what's going on around you, but also pay attention to what's going on in you as you lead and as you're in spaces. Whether you're leading or being led, like pay attention to what's going around you and in you. So it's the others' awareness and self-awareness. And this is a topic, I don't care if it's the boardroom, if it's your living room, it all applies, right? This is an important skill to have. And so, let me give an example to kind of unpack it a little bit, and then maybe you guys even have some to share as well. But to think about this, reading the room, paying attention to other people, paying attention to yourself at the same time and in real time, as much as you can, because there's always time to go back and reflect, right? Oh, I wish I would have handled that differently, or I really like how I handled that. I want to keep doing that way. Right. But trying to get really good at it in real time so that people feel safe in the space with you, so they feel like they can show up as their whole self, right, and contribute safely. And so let's say, like an example of what this could look like is if I am in a space leading my team and I'm sharing a new idea. And let's be real, I'm probably sharing some sort of system I want us to use because y'all know I get fired up about systems. I want to talk about one. So maybe I'm sharing a system. And in my mind, it's straightforward. I'm sharing a thing, we're going to do a thing, and let's keep it moving. If I'm introducing this to my team and if I'm reading the room well, I'm going to pay attention to body language. I'm going to pay attention to eye contact, all kinds of things. And if I'm sharing this and I notice that the energy shifts, right? I'm getting like fewer of those nods where it look like people are tracking with me, and maybe there's a side conversation or two going on, or just less eye contact. If I'm reading the room and paying attention, I'm seeing like something's not landing. Either I'm not communicating well, or they might be in disagreement with what I'm saying. They might have a different idea. They might be confused. I might think I'm communicating clearly and they think everything but that. I'm causing confusion. If I'm paying attention and leading well, I notice that in the room, right? At the same time, that's that others awareness. At the same time, I have to pay attention to myself, my self-awareness in that moment, and think, well, what's happening to me or in me as a result of what I'm noticing? Yeah. Maybe I'm starting to feel defensive. Like, I feel like we're about to have an argument. I'm going to plow through this. I'm not leaving space for that. That could be a way that I respond, right? It could be that, I'm just speeding up. Let me deliver a thing, and then you'll get it. You'll get it. Let me just get through it, right? But I think in leadership, if we're talking about this others awareness and this self-awareness, it's pausing in that moment. It's not plowing through. It's not bulldozing people. That's where, this work of, relationship and community can really happen. Is like, hey, something's off. Let's not just plow through. Yeah. Like, can I ask a question instead of making assumptions? Because I might be assuming all kinds of things, and y'all know we get in our heads and tell ourselves stories that aren't true, and then we operate as though they are. Right? That's right. So, like, what can I do in this moment to lean in, right? And so what I might do is, I might just say, hey, I'm noticing y'all are giving me some looks. Can we stop? I feel like something's off. Or I don't know if you're picking it up. Am I communicating clearly? Can someone feed back to me what I'm saying? Is this making sense? Or maybe you have a different idea, right? But it's just that space of, whether you're in a group or whether you're one-on-one across the table with somebody, like, don't plow through. Yeah. Pause. Get curious, ask questions, don't make assumptions, so that I can contribute well, so that you can contribute well, and so that together, we have good, healthy community. Yeah. And so, that's my thought on that. I don't know if you guys have an example of a time when you were like in a space and either being led or leading where maybe somebody didn't read the room and it didn't go great. Or if you just, you might have a great example of a time that it went well, but where have you seen this show up, the importance of being able to read both others and self in a space?
First, can I name pause, not plow?
Hello. Start where we need to start.
Do we need a t-shirt there? T-shirt list.
Pause, not plow.
Pause, not plow.
Do not anybody steal that. We will fight you.
Copyrighted.
I love that, first of all. I was thinking about various leadership experiences I've had and training and facilitating, but I think one of them is especially when you're speaking, like when you're teaching, or doing a sermon or whatever. I always get curious about people who don't know how to read the room and then don't know how to pivot
and adjust.
Like that. I always am like,
they're the plowers.
Yeah, I just wonder. I'm like, you just keep going, huh? Doesn't really matter if I'm.
That's what we're doing.
If I'm tracking with you,
right?
Nope.
Doesn't really matter if we're in the same boat. You're just gonna keep going.
That's right.
So, yeah, but I could go on for days with examples of like being in front of a room and being like, something's off. But yeah, what do you think, Eric?
I think about being a young leader. Young in age and maturity, and whether I was speaking or teaching or something else, leading teams, it was, all right, I'm going to say what I need to say. I ain't paying too much attention to what my audience is, what they're showing me, what they're telling me, right? Nonverbal and maybe a little bit verbal as well.
Right.
Because I need to get this out. I need to make sure you get this.
Yeah.
And so until somebody tells you that and watch this, then you decide to listen to what they're telling you and then put into action things that will help you correct those things.
Yeah.
You continue to do that because you start, it's like being an athlete who he or she, they used to say there is newspapers, they're reading their own press clippings. They're starting to believe that they are way better than they are. And so when you're a young leader or an immature leader, and because leadership doesn't have an age, you feel like, all right, I'm shout out to LL Cool J, I'm the hardest hard rock in a hard rock town. So because I'm the hardest hard rock in a hard rock town, I'm going to step up and say everything I need to say. And I'm God's gift to leadership or this team or this event that you're listening to me speak at, and it's Adam Sandler in the movie. I have the microphone, so you will listen to every word that I have to say. Meanwhile, you're losing people,
Right.
literally and figuratively. What about you, bro? What you think?
I'm still stuck on her quote that she came up with. Y'all better not steal it. Let me be clear. In work I'm doing with like some of my clients and in areas where I'm doing training and stuff, I talk about the power of pause. So that really triggered me when you said that in a good way, because I'm like, people don't understand the benefit of just pausing and stopping for just a second. There's some work that talks about the balcony view. So I try to remind people, when you do the power of pause, you jump up in the balcony view to see what's going on. Look at the lay of the land. Don't just keep plowing through, pushing forward. That is a lack. That is a very clear sign of when you're on the low end of self-awareness, right? You are not paying attention to yourself, or you're paying so much attention to yourself, you're not paying attention to the others in the space that are experiencing you, and you just continue to lead. You continue to talk. This applies, by the way, in your leadership positions as peers and colleagues. This also applies for people in their households.
No doubt.
Fathers and mothers not paying attention to what the kids is saying, just keep going on with the agenda, and you got to be able to do that. And I had to learn this honestly when you talk about this pause. Actually, in my family, that's where my real work was at. Let me just be clear, and for any of them that heard this, y'all know what it is. But that's where the real work was at, right? Because it was like I needed to pull myself out of the situation so I wouldn't be overly emotional, practicing self-awareness, so I can pay attention to what's going on in the room. And I have gotten into a place now where I'm thankful because I'm able to say, hey, it feels like we might need to fill in the blank. It feels like maybe this is going on. And then really you will see this with your teams, with people you're leading, with people you're supporting. The room shifts.
Yeah.
When it's done well, people calm down. People kind of lean in, or people start practicing their own self-awareness and go, oh, I'm not paying attention, or I didn't hear that correctly, or wait, actually I have a question. I'm still stuck on the first part, right? But if we don't pause, if we don't take that time to really just pull back and make sure that we're managing ourselves well, we can't manage those relationships in the room, which is the other part of self-awareness. I just think that's great that you brought that up.
No, it's so good. And I was thinking too, as you were sharing, just going back to what you were saying about doing that work where we're not responding from wounds, right? Like sometimes I think we fear pausing because like all these things come back up. Like, well, they're going to think I'm not smart. They're going to think I'm not. Like, do the work so that you feel confident in the power of the pause. Pause, don't plow. Pause, don't plow.